Hey my friends, this is Daniel Aldie, and today I want to talk with you about 7 major confidence killers. If you know me, you already know that I believe that competence leads to confidence, and confidence often leads to more competence. It's kind of like a cycle, and if you become more competent, you become more confident, which basically means is that if you're good at what you do, then you'll gain more confidence every single day. So in this video, I want to share with you 7 things that kills people's confidence. You're gonna really like this video, so make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that notification button, and please comment in the section below, because here I go. The first confidence killer is low self-esteem. And what this basically means is a low valuation in yourself. There's so many people that carry the notion that they're not good enough. They feel like they can't accept who they are because maybe they've been told their whole life that they're not good enough. A lot of times this comes from our parents or our teachers or even our preachers. And so many people go out there with low confidence because of what they believe in their head. They listen to the critics, they listen to the naysayers, and they listen to all the people in their head that told them that they couldn't do it. But my friends, I want you to know that you're good enough. I want you to know that you're qualified to do the thing that you know you were called to do. There's no one in the world that can limit you except yourself. I know there's a lot of people that reach out to me and they tell me, Daniel, my husband, my wife, my kids, these people in my life tell me all these toxic things and I don't know how to get it out of my head. My friends, you cannot avoid your family members or even some close people around you. But what you can do is begin to condition your mind so the next time you hear that, you say, no, I don't believe those lies. I believe the truth. I believe in myself. Because when you believe in yourself, everyone else in the world will begin to believe in you. And that's the truth. For many years, I was personally conflicted with self-doubt and low self-esteem and insecurities. And that led me to use drugs. That led me to do really bad things that I would be ashamed of telling anyone. That kept me away from reaching my highest potential. But until I realized that I was good enough, I determined in my soul that I was going to do whatever it took to reach my highest goal. There's no one in the world that can keep you from becoming exactly who God called you to be. So you have to understand that if you want to free yourself, you have to be yourself. You have to do everything you can in your power to become the best version of who you were meant to be. The second major confidence killer is fear. There's so many fears to talk about. There's the fear of criticism, the fear of poverty, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of success. There's so many different things that can hold people back, and fear is very crippling. But the only way you can overcome that fear is to fully understand it. Why am I afraid of certain things? Why am I afraid of getting married, of having a child, of starting a business, of buying a house, of doing something that the world would call me crazy for? There's so many thoughts that fluctuate in our minds, and we have to understand our way of thinking in order to change our way of living. There's an exercise that I want you to do that I've done many times. Basically make a list of every single fear that you've ever had, and I want you to confront it. If you have the fear of flying, I want you to write it down and ask yourself, why am I afraid of flying? Once you come up with an answer, figure out why you're afraid of that, and keep going down the list until all the whys are exposed. That's one way to figure life out. If you ask the question why, you'll understand the root cause and you'll understand exactly what you need to do in order to build your confidence. I'll give you a clear example. There was one time in my life where I was very afraid of public speaking. I asked the question, why? Why did I just go up there and fail in front of 12 people? I thought I knew what I was talking about. I felt confident on the outside, but the truth is that when I realized it, I didn't feel confident in the inside. I didn't feel like I had the competence to actually go up there and present the material that I actually knew. You see, I had written a long paper about the topic of IKEA, but I never practiced on my speech on IKEA. I never spoke in front of the imaginary crowd that I should have practiced in front of. I just went up there and failed. Why? Because I didn't practice. Why didn't I practice? Because I didn't know. Why did I know? Because no one told me so. I couldn't blame the school system for never teaching me how to speak in public, but what I had to do was get books that would teach me how to actually practice in front of the mirror, how to actually visualize a crowd, how to actually maintain eye contact with the audience. There's so many techniques that I've learned because I understood why. And once I understood why I wanted to speak, I then knew how to speak. Because when the why gets bigger, the how gets easier. When we know why we're doing the things that we're doing, which in this case, overcoming fear, then we know how to overcome those fears. We know exactly which direction to go, which book to read, which person to talk to, because we're overcoming those self-limiting beliefs and we're conquering our highest dreams. So my question for you is this: what are your fears? Are they helping you or are they hurting you? You see, fear is meant to keep us out of danger, but there's so many times where we fear things that would never lead to danger. Figure out why you fear the things you do by making that list and confronting it wholeheartedly. The third confidence killer is worry. Worry takes up space in our mind that we can use for faith. You see, if we had more faith, then we would be able to cancel out the worry. But faith cannot coexist with fear. Faith cannot live where worry exists. We have to understand the things that we're worried about in order to get them out of our life. What are the things that you're worried about? Most people are worried about money. Most people are worried about their health. Most people are worried about their job situation or opportunities they may be pursuing. But I want you to consider this: 90% of the things that we worry about, we cannot change today. So why even bother worrying about it in the first place? Now, for the 10% of the things that we can control, then we need to actually do something about it. And we need to leave the 90% to the universe or to God. My friends, you have to understand exactly what you're worried about in order to overcome those worries. Because worrying is the greatest waste of imagination. And your imagination is so powerful that if you took out all your worries and put it somewhere in that little box where it should be, and start thinking about the big things that you should be thinking about, then you'll never be the same again. You'll start entertaining thoughts that you never even knew you had. That's why you need to use your imagination faculties on a higher level. Get rid of the worry, get rid of the fear, and prepare for the biggest dream, because you have it in your mind already, but you need to understand exactly where it's located. The fourth major confidence killer is criticism. There's so many people that live with the voice of doubt in their head because that's what's been projected onto them by those who love them. You see, a lot of times our family members and friends try to keep us out of danger by installing fear into our mind. No, that business will never work because your uncle failed at it, and if you try, it might not work for you either. You see, they're only telling you what they think they know, not what they actually know. Not because someone is sincere means that they're telling the truth. You see, a lot of times we listen to the voice of doubt because we miss out on the voice of reason. We listen to other people's lies because we haven't learned to think for ourselves. The real truth is that you really don't need guidance at all. You don't need anyone to tell you what to do. All you need to do is gather the facts, gain the information that you need, and develop your own perspective. What you really need to do is to change your mentality, and your reality will change as well. Once you understand that if you change the way you view things, you'll change the way you do things. You'll change the way you see the world because you're not worried about what other people think of you. The opinions of others have stopped so many people from living their dreams. But it can also be a motivation if you understand it. You know how many people told Steve Jobs that he couldn't develop an iPhone? They told Henry Ford it was impossible to build a car for the price that he wanted. But these entrepreneurs, these pioneers knew deep down in their soul that they had to reach their highest goal. They knew that the naysayers would motivate them and help them to do whatever it took in order to reach their destination. My friends, I want you to intimately know that no one can criticize you for being who you are. Just because you're a little bit different than other people doesn't mean you can't be yourself. You see, a lot of people will tell you all the places you can't go. They say, oh, the weather is bad over there. You can't go out. It's raining. If you don't have 6 months of savings, you're doomed. If you don't have health insurance, how are you going to be healthy? They're going to tell you about all these things, but it's just miscellaneous data. You have to focus on who you're becoming. You have to focus on where you're going. You have to focus on what you're doing. You see, I think in a very spiritual way. And the way I see things is that when I face God at the very end of my life, I want to be able to tell him all the things I did and show him that I really tried my hardest. But you'll be surprised of how many people won't be able to do that. You'll be surprised of how many people buried their talents, buried their money, buried their time. They wasted their efforts pursuing another person's dream just because they listened to the voice of criticism. My friends, you cannot afford to take up space into your mental factory just because of what people say. You have to take control of your mind so that you can take control of your life. If you understand exactly what I'm saying, no one's opinion of you will become your reality. You'll do everything in your power to get rid of that doubt and understand exactly what you need to do to replace it with faith. You need to understand that if you have doubt about it, there's probably a reason. But if it's not a valid reason based on your level of logic, of you understanding the entire situation, then it's time to really understand whether or not you should do it. Decide firmly and decide often, because that is the direction that you're going to go. If you have faith and you understand exactly what you're building right now, then you have the fortitude to remove all the doubt and cancel out all the criticism that you've heard in the past. So all I'm saying is this: the doubt that you've heard in the past has nothing to do with the faith that you're building in the future. If you feed your faith, then your fears will starve to death. And if you believe in yourself, then everyone else in the world is going to believe in you. The fifth major confidence killer is cowardice. There's so many people that are afraid to act even if they have all the information to do so. It's that last minute split second decision making that they need to do, but they're afraid to do it. My friends, if you feel like you've been bordering along the right decision, then it's time to just pull the trigger. There's so many people that spend so much time overthinking about things that they already know is right. There's no time to let cowardice stop you from making the right decision. There's been a lot of times where I've talked to people. I've given them all the reasons. I showed them all the outcomes. I laid out all the consequences. And they were too cowardice to make the decision. My friends, I've been in that situation before. There were things in my early days that I knew I was supposed to do, but I was too afraid to do because I was afraid of the consequences. For example, I worked a job that treated me like a slave, and I should have called them to tell them that I wasn't showing up, but I was too afraid to do it because I was afraid of the repercussions. See, my friends, you cannot be afraid of anything. Now, I knew that the job was wrong. I knew I should have made the phone call, but I was 16 years old. I had no accountability. I didn't know what to do. But if you're 16, that's okay. But if you're 26 or 36 or 46, that's not okay. It's time to put yourself in the right position in order to make the right decisions. Because the right decisions will ultimately get you into the right positions. So stop being afraid of being afraid. Do whatever it takes to overcome that cowardice, to overcome that overthinking, and make a decision today. The sixth major confidence killer is conformity. In this enormity of conformity, everyone is doing what everyone is doing. And people are just copying each other because they think it's right. I go into some environments and I see people pace it to their phone like a dog on a leash. They have no control of what they're seeing, no control of what they're doing. There's been times where I've been walking at the mall and somebody bumped into me and they didn't even know that they ran into another person. They meekly say, "Sorry," but they don't even know. They're so lost in their gadgets. They're so lost in their confusion that they don't even know what to think about what they think. So many people conform because they just don't know any better. But what that also means is that there's a large opportunity to do something different than what conformists do. What that means is that you have the ability to do the opposite by studying what they do. You see, I call this the opposite equivalent. It's doing the exact opposite of what failures do. So if your drunk uncle is drinking 12 beers on a weekend and he's proud about finishing a 12-pack, then you should be proud about reading 12 chapters in a book and finishing that 200-page book. As you can see, it took the same amount of time to drink those beers as it took to read those chapters, so you might as well do the opposite of what other people do. One thing that I've learned when I was growing up is that so many people fear money. I thought to myself, why are so many people afraid of being broke? Then I realized that people had bills to pay. When I grew up, I saw the bills coming, but I said to myself, there's no way that I'm gonna be afraid of what that number says. Instead of being afraid, I've gotta ask myself, what can I do about this? What changes can I make? How can I take more responsibility over this situation? And instead of being afraid of the reality, I started to change my mentality. I started to change the way I saw that bill. I started to read the fine print. I started to master my bills in such a way where I could pay 6 to even 12 months ahead of time. Because I understood how people thought, I began to understand how I need to think. I saw that they were afraid, and I realized that I have to have faith. I did the opposite of what they did, and that's why I have the opposite of what they do. You see, I confronted my fear, and I understood instead of being worried about the bills, I need to be worried about building my skills. Because if I focus on skills, it will pay the bills. Yes, skills equals bills. And if you have the skills, you're gonna pay the bills. So what I'm basically saying is this: look online, look outside, and you'll see conformity everywhere. If you see people who are failing in their bank account, in their marriage, just do the opposite. Go talk to someone who's been divorced many times and see what they did and how they failed. You'll know exactly how to master your relationship. Go talk to a homeless person and ask them what kind of financial decisions led them into this point. You'll see that they'll make excuses. They'll have that victim-minded mentality. They'll tell you everything not to do. It will help you to get motivated, and it will change the direction of your life. The seventh and final confidence killer is small thinking. Now, small thinking can be a conglomeration of everything I discussed before, but basically small thinking is a result of small living. It's a result of small giving. It's a result of thinking in the smallest way possible, just because you don't even know that there's any way else to think. You see, so many people are small thinkers because they haven't put themselves around big thinkers. There was a time where I lived in a basement for more than half my life, and I thought that was the only option possible. There were roaches and rats. It was nasty to live in a basement. I couldn't even see out my window. I felt trapped. I felt small, so I thought small. But then I started to see houses, and I asked myself, how do people even have houses? Then I saw bigger houses, and then bigger houses, and then I saw the biggest house possible. Then I realized, well, if they can get that house, maybe I can get that house too. If they can do it, maybe I can do it too. If the car is in the parking lot, and it says Rolls Royce or Bentley or Mercedes or Jaguar or BMW, maybe I can have it because no one else is using it. I started to entertain these thoughts because I realized it could be a reality. Yes, I walked up and I saw the sticker and I saw the price and I got afraid, but I asked myself, why am I afraid of that price? What is that price gonna do to me? Yes, that price might be bigger than my salary, but there's gotta be a way to raise my salary to pay that price. There's gotta be a way to change my way of thinking in order to change my way of living. And that's when I started to manufacture higher thoughts. I started talking to bigger people. I started reading better books. I started doing things around me that no one else was doing in their life. And it changed everything. You see, my friends, I just shared with you 7 major confidence killers. Because these 7 confidence killers were the ones that I had in my life. I believe it can be overcome, of course, because I'm here in front of you. I hope that thousands and thousands, even millions of people see this video. In fact, big thinking says tens of millions, even billions. If you like this video, make sure to comment yes and share it with the world, because I have so much more I want to share with you. So please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification button, and please follow me on Instagram. Again, this is Daniel Aldie. I look forward to watching you achieve your highest goals and building the confidence necessary to reach your full potential. See you guys next time.